Star Citizen Alpha 3.11.0 is now live, so let's take a look at its new features and patch notes, and anything else that's new with the patch launch. There hasn't been a long-term persistence reset, so you should have all your Alpha UEC and ship sport in-game, although game is alpha and there can be a mixed bag with some assets and resources and Alpha UEC not getting transferred and stuff like that. Star Citizen's launcher now requires AVX instructions from your CPU, so what does that actually mean? Well, basically, very old CPUs may no longer be compatible. Typically this means CPUs that have come out before 2011 may no longer be supported, so bear that in mind. Something else many of you might have noticed is the Avenger Titan and 300i have gone up by $5 in value as of 3.11 going live. The 100 series is on sale as it was flyable when 3.11 launched. There are multiple events running at the moment. The main one that's going to affect 3.11 as a patch and runs throughout October is the sort of Halloween event, and that gives you access to the Vandal Glaive and the Gladius to use throughout the month, and there are 2 helmets you can earn in-game, one for getting 50 unique player kills with the Glaive, and the other from just visiting Benny Henge. The Mercury Star Runner is not in the current 3.11.0 build, but will be coming in a 3.11.x build in the next few weeks. So let's move on to the actual patch notes and features. Let's start with the locations. Space station interiors have been adjusted to help players find their way around them, but they've also added some new features. You can now access the various levels and different areas of a space station via the elevators, including the hangars and habs, common areas, and the new cargo decks. So cargo decks are facilities within rest stops where players can handle their cargo needs, dropping off, picking up cargo, buying new cargo equipment, cargo ship rentals. These areas will continue to have content added to them in the future patches and are pretty bare from content at the moment. They have repainted existing planets and moons in the Stanton system, updating ground services and object presets as well. Also ground texture and geology, adding scanned data. Basically, this gives planets a much better look and quality, whether you're close to them or far away from them. We also now have seaweed and other ground cover elements that simulate buoyancy on water, floating and sort of like realistically adjusting to water waves. Again, better visuals for planets. They added a material variant for the Hurston Outpost exteriors. Prison updates have been made, so there's additions to the looks of a prison, how you escape from prisons. There's some extra steps there. The commissary vending machines in prisons have been updated to use merits to purchase items as well, and their UI has been updated. Going back to space stations, green zones around space stations now allow for the firing of ship weapons, but there are updated laws and defenses and security forces here to accommodate for that. Stations have destructible defenses in the forms of size 4, size 6 and the mighty size 10 turrets. These respawn after 5 minutes. Security forces now spawn ships based on the combined level of criminals in an area and their criminality, so this will have more and more powerful ships spawning, and then they also despawn weaker ones as the criminal ratings stack up. In the case of like a station attack, for example, where there's going to be lots of people potentially getting more and more of a criminal rating, there's going to be more and more security forces coming after you and attacking there, and they're going to keep on coming. That new system is known as the Heat system, in case you hear people refer to it by lots of other names, like GTA 5 criminal system or whatever. It's got lots of names now. Attacking non-criminal ships or defenses in an armistice zone is a crime. You'll get a warning first, and then repeated damage will get you a crime stat, and that violation will be on your record for 24 hours. Should a player enter the armistice zone while having a crime stat or gain one while they're there, they will be shown a warning telling them to leave immediately. If a criminal player dies, they don't automatically go to prison. Their default respawn point is now Grimhex, so if you log off or whatever and you're a criminal, you'll respawn back in Grimhex. However, criminal players that are attacked by an NPC or player valid to arrest them will now have a timer started, so up to 3 minutes this timer is, and if the criminal dies within that time, they are then arrested and sent to prison, assuming that's appropriate. So if you get attacked by some security forces and then hit an asteroid, boom, you'll be going to prison. However, if you, for example, just hit an asteroid flying out of Grimhex and you haven't done anything, and there's no bounty hunters literally shooting you on your tail, then you'll just respawn back in Grimhex. There are options to forgive or prosecute players and party members for crimes. That's now a thing. They have expanded the crimes in-game for indirect player killing. Locking a missile on a ship now counts as hostility and allows that ship to attack you in self-defense without them getting a criminal rating, so bear that in mind. Doing this to a NPC security ship will get you assaulting an officer of the law infraction. Quantum snaring counts as a crime for each non-criminal ship that you've affected by doing your naughty little quantum snare. Or maybe it's not, maybe you're doing it for bounty hunting purposes and then you're just going to get criminal ships, and that's fine. They've made some bug fixes and quality of life improvements to laws too, so you can't just like get out of your ship seat to avoid security scans, that sort of stuff. Minor pad ramming will now be ignored as a crime if committed by a party member, though if it ends in doom, you can still prosecute that player. Ships and vehicles. There are now 3 new ships: the Origin 100I Touring, the 125A Light Fighter, and the 135C Light Freight ship. These are basically starter ships. They're very cool looking. They are in-game now. The Greycat Rock is purchasable in-game now as well, which is great. There are a lot of missile and countermeasure improvements. Missiles will react to all countermeasures now. Missiles will lose lock during the locking process if the pilot does not keep the target in the locking cone. They fixed missile selection keybinds. They've added missile selection HUD and widgets so that you can cycle missiles as well as, but you have to bind the key in options. It's unbound by default. Players can only simultaneously lock missiles of the same type, and then only 1 for each rack equipped, up to a maximum of 4. So there's basically big restrictions on the amount of missiles you can shoot simultaneously. There is a minimum distance for missile locks as well. At size 1, it's 1,000 meters, size 2, 1,500 meters, size 3, 2,000, and size 4, 2,500. Size 5 plus torpedoes use a different method and have a slower release, and are all set to a minimum of 1,000 meters. There's a UI indicator as well for lock range, which is great. A lock will be lost if the target goes out of range. For countermeasures, players can now either launch a flare decoy by pressing H, a projectile that emits a very strong signal to spoof missiles and works on all seekers, or you can deploy a chaff with J, which is a limited jamming space which affects all kinds of sensor readouts, including the ship launching the actual chaff if they're in the field. The larger the ship, the larger the countermeasure and its effectiveness thereof. You can see countermeasure ammo on the HUD, and you can see incoming missile times as well, which is very useful for working out when you want to launch a countermeasure. There are new FPS weapons which are both available at Grimhex and other places as well. The Bearing GP33 grenade launcher, which fires magazines of 6 40mm grenades. That makes use of the new force reactions as well, so you can knock people around with them. You can also purchase this at Levski, not just Grimhex. There's the Bearing BR2 ballistic shotgun, which features a semi-auto fire mode. It's very powerful. It's very boom, boom, boom. Great for rushing people, great for defending as people rush you as well. It's much more common around the verse. I've seen it at Cubby Blast on Area 18 and various other places and rest stops as well. Feature updates. So player inventories have been updated. Each part of your armor now has its own storage and a new UI, and you can interact with the Rocks cargo box as well and take items out of it or put items into it. They've improved throwing to become more accurate, reliable, and accommodating additional objects in the game world beyond just grenades. There's an AR trajectory which will now appear as well, so you can see the arc of the item you're throwing, and you can throw items overhand with left click and underhand with right click. As mentioned with the grenade launcher, there are force reactions, so this uses the physical system and gives visible reactions triggered by getting shot or punched or damaged in some way or moved around aggressively. So actors are made to lean when there's strong winds and G-forces on accelerating ships, or if you get jostled or hit something in your ship, that the actor that's standing around could get thrown down or at least sway if they're not seated. If you get caught in the blast area of a grenade, you could go flying or get knocked down, or if you take a close range hit from the shotgun, that's going to cause you to get blown away potentially. Heavier armor though can mitigate this to a degree. Some other more minor bits: they updated the character creator with new head designs, and the menu UI has been streamlined somewhat as well. There was a huge amount of bug fixes for 3.11, but there's also a lot of known issues which are still needing to be fixed, and you probably want to know so that you can have a better Star Citizen experience and avoid them. Strafing upwards while flight readying a ship can lead to the ship's destruction. Potential workarounds for this are to let your vision center and wait a second before strafing upwards. When retrieving ships at New Babbage or Lorville Spaceport, the UI telling you what hangar your ship is placed in can be missing. Global chat may be unavailable in the visor HUD. Ships landing at Lorville cannot be stored. Character customization choices might display incorrectly in-game. Grey Cat rocks might jump up and down on the spot after spawning. They are very excitable. Who's a good rock? They are a good rock, the best rock. Players can get their ship into an unknown status after abandoning it and then dying and respawning at some rest stops, causing an insurance loophole. Ground vehicles can be impounded when a player lands at a designated garage at the New Babbage Spaceport planetary surface exit or entrance. The missile range does not update correctly when swapping missile types. Players are unable to reach the enter ship prompt on the display prospector in the new deal in Lorville. A members list UI does not animate when a player is speaking in proximity chat. Using an emote, then getting a knockdown at the same time can cause animation delay. MFDs are not updating damage on targeted ships. Origin 100 series rain/slush effects are moving backwards in the direction of travel, which creates a weird time machine effect. No, it doesn't, but it looks weird. The Grey Cat rock mining arm can snap out of place upon re-entering the vehicle if the mining arm had previously extended prior to exiting the vehicle. Players may experience stalls when extracting crystals with the rock. The 100 series beds do not retract. Running into the stairs of a 100 series ship as the door opens will cause the player to fall through the ground. Not ideal. Players logging out in the Klesha Rehabilitation Facility or prison may spawn back at Grimhex in their prison outfits. Players cannot re-enter the Drake Cutlass ship if the ramp is damaged. Refueling hydrogen fuel can prevent you refueling quantum fuel sometimes, although I've tested that and I didn't seem to have the problem, so maybe it's intermittent. Some heavy armor arms can clip through the Mobi-Glass, and I also saw people saying that wearing the Pembroke armor breaks your UI. So like you can't use your Mobi-Glass and you can have lots of problems with that, so maybe avoid that too. So that's it for the patch notes and new features in 3.11 and what to not do and look out for, I suppose. The stability does seem pretty good for me so far at the moment, but I suspect the patch will get a lot more of a stress test once more players are on this weekend. The patch was pretty light feature-wise, but there is a lot of combat and quality of life improvements, as well as bug fixes here, which could see the game in a much better state than 3.10 was. That said, I always look forward to a 3.x.x patch, so in this case, 3.11.1. That's no different. Typically, these sort of patches fix really annoying bugs that are plaguing a new released patch, and in this case as well, it could add the Mercury Star Runner, so hurry up with 3.11.1, woo! Although I'm not sure, beyond what they said with the known issues, what else I'd want them to fix. But what do you think? Are you playing 3.11 live? What are your experiences with it? Were you disappointed with the 3.11 patch? Are you waiting on the Mercury Star Runner? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a Star Citizen ship giveaway. For October 2020, it is for a Mercury Star Runner. This highly anticipated multi-role ship is going to be great for small to medium-sized crews that want to do a bit of everything, whether that be cargo running, data running, missions, combat, smuggling, all that sort of jazz. And it's going to be in-game and flyable very soon. All you've got to do to be in for a chance of winning one is comment on any of my videos made during October, including this one. More details down below. What am I shilling for today, I hear you ask? Do you hate it when people steal all of your money and your house over the internet? I know I do. NordVPN may have been invented by wizards to help protect your personal data from the prying eyes of the dark web, a sinister cabal of technomancers that grow in power the more they know about your browsing habits. The true story of NordVPN's origins are unknown and lost to the ages, and without using fact, no one really knows how it provides more accessibility to otherwise censored websites or a safer security experience for all that use it. All I know is that it does, and that when you sign up to it, the power level of my bank account grows. And I use it, and maybe you should too.